Welcome to the Moments That Matter podcast. I am your host, Laura Escamilla.
And I am your co-host, Isaac Escamilla.
Today we have back our friend Ginger, who is a mother of 3, all of which are in the college process. Actually, one just graduated, but one in graduate school, one in undergrad. And we're going to have a little discussion about the holidays because whether parents realize it or not, when your kids come home from college, it is vastly different from when they left to college. So they've changed even in 3 months, 4 months time. So I was hoping that you could share with me first. Let's start with Hannah. She was your oldest, your first to leave to college. What was that like for you the first time she came home for the holidays?
So the first time she came home, Luke was a freshman, Kate was a junior in high school. So we still very much had the same routine of waking up early, being there when they got home from school, cooking dinner, going to practices, going to games. So when she came home, she just kind of fit into that routine and we went about our business. She honored
The
curfew. She
curfew.
kept her curfew. There was no issues with that. So for her coming home, it wasn't that big of a deal. But when she left back to college the first time after visiting, that was super hard because we got a taste of her being back home and in the family, and then she turns around and leaves again. So that was very hard first time she
Probably
left.
a harder adjustment than the first time
Right.
leaving her.
Initially leaving her, although that was really hard too. But yeah.
Yeah. Not that we didn't feel a difference that when Skylar came home, we're the same situation. We were in it. We were in, having work and school, and Skylar just fit right in. She was happy just to get right back to what it was because it was only a few months difference. I think for us, the biggest difference was not Thanksgiving break, but Christmas break. And then the summer after it had been 8 months of being gone and establishing themselves. I feel like that's where it happened. But Thanksgiving was kind of nice and sweet. And I guess every time that she did come home, she wanted to be normal, I guess, or she
Fit in.
wanted,
Fit
and she
back
wanted to be
in.
taken care of, and she
Yeah.
wanted all the normal things, cook for me, do for me, like she did before she left. And that was really, really interesting. However, the difference was and I don't know how it was with Kate or Luke after that, but with Lucas, that was way different experience. And Skylar followed curfew rules, but at that point, he was the youngest. There was nobody else in the house and
No rules.
no rules. Yeah.
So for us, once Kate went, same thing for her coming back. She kind of fit back into the routine. Same with Hannah. And Luke was still in high school. So we had Friday night football, basketball games, practices that still kept our routine. But then once Luke left and we were complete empty nesters, that's when the real challenge came when they came back to visit because Keith and I were used to doing our own thing, golfing. All we had to take care of was the dogs. Didn't have to worry about planning dinner in advance because we could just fly by the seat of our pants with just the 2 of us. So that was when the real adjustment happened, once we were true empty nesters, and then they started to come back.
And
Still.
then you're like, so how long are you going to be here? I mean, I don't know about you, but I know that there's a certain thing that happens. They become independent and then they come home. And we experienced this with Lucas. Your mindset has to change because there was no way when he was home in high school that he was going to be out of the house past 10, not even midnight. There was a curfew. And in college, they're just starting their day, their night at that hour.
Right.
So that was a big adjustment for us to say that was okay, for one, because everybody was home from college and everybody was doing it. And how are we going to keep them? No, be home, stay home by 10. I feel like we had that issue. Your kids have hosted friends over and you're like, I just want to go to sleep.
That's just what I was going to say, especially when your house is the gathering point, which I love because I love seeing all of our kids' friends and I love visiting with them and them having a safe place to be. But at the same time, we have to work in the morning and they don't. And so they can sleep until noon, but we're getting up very early and staying up very late listening to them.
So yeah, there's definitely a navigating a balance, right? Because you want to give them their independence that they've had, like while they're home.
And you want them to have fun when they're
Right.
home as well.
You want them to have good memories and
enjoy themselves.
And relax.
Take a break,
and all that kind of stuff. But I think that comes at the parents' expense.
Yes.
And
it's for a limited time because
Yeah.
you can only do it for so many nights and then say, okay,
Right.
you got to slow down.
And we do that. We're the same thing. We always joke that all of Sherryland has our door code because his friends, when he's home, it's just beep, beep, beep. They're coming in and we're like, who's walking through the door? We have no idea. People are just walking in. And we love that. We love that they hang out here and they feel safe here. But there was a point where like, okay, I don't want to hear people coming in and out. I don't want to hear, because I have to work tomorrow and I have to do these
And
things.
the dogs bark at them when they come in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that definitely was different. But did you have any different expectations of your kids when they were home that you didn't have for them in high school? I know for us, we're like, okay, you're here, you're going to use your truck to go take this, or
Oh,
to run
definitely.
these errands or do these things, be helpful
Yeah.
around the house.
For us, one thing is our dogs.
Mhm.
They're our babies now that our
Mhm.
babies are gone. And so just making sure that Luke or whoever, whatever child is home, take him out at noon, feed him at 4, just to keep the kids busy and the dogs taken care of.
And do you get a say on when they're coming home, or they just tell you, this is when I'll be home?
Pretty much they let us know when they're
They
gonna come home.
dictate when that
Yeah.
is. Yeah. And that's how we are. Even this weekend, Skylar is like, I'll be home Friday. I'm like, okay, all right. So we're just prepare because we're the same way. Empty nesters in our lives
And I
are
like
set.
that. I love what you described, Ginger, because it's the same way for us. We don't really care about making dinner on time or even making dinner because we'll go buy something or we'll leave or if somebody calls and let's go do something and we'll go do something else. And
Right.
it's great and it feels awesome. But when they're here, they feel like we're responsible for feeding them now, I guess, because
Right.
so they don't have to
We
pay
did
for
it
their
for
own
18 years.
Yeah.
food. Yes.
Well,
But-
the
go
other
ahead.
thing that would happen a lot with one of my children, won't name names, but it's a boy. I would say, "Are you going to be here for dinner? I'll make dinner and we can have dinner." And then,
Mhm, yes.
4 o'clock, "Oh, well, I ate a late lunch," or, "Oh, so and so invited me to go do this." And again, you don't want to say no because you want them to enjoy their time when they're here with their
Mhm.
friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that happens to us too. Now that you mention it, I guess as a parent, you try to get back on a routine and shift what you're normally doing back to mom mode.
Parent mode, yeah. Mhm.
And parent mode and
Accommodating.
cooking. Yeah.
Mhm.
Accommodating, change dinner and change everything. And then you go out of your way, it feels like, to make dinner. Are you going to be here? What do you want for dinner? And they're, oh, I'll pick this. And then you go and you cook and you expect like your kids are going to have this meal that they asked for. And they're like, oh, sorry, we're going to go grab a
Yeah.
burger. We're going to go work out. We're going to go here. And you're like, yeah,
Hard
I'm
breaks.
stuck with all of this. But you don't say no,
Right.
right? I never get upset about it. And that happened, like I said, more with Lucas, definitely more the second time around. Skylar very much wanted to decompress when she was home. She didn't want to be bothered. She didn't want to go anywhere. She just wanted to be a kid, play video games, eat
Take a
home
break.
cooked meals, and
Mhm.
decompress. She was done adulting, as she calls it. So it was a very different. But Lucas was here, and it was socializing. All the friends he doesn't get to see normally, and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I'm gonna be home. No, I'm not. Never mind. And then it's a 8 o'clock. What's for dinner? I'm like, okay, we had dinner 3 hours ago, right? Like
Yeah.
this doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
So-
We're not eating again until tomorrow.
Tomorrow. That's
I would
it.
like to speak in defense of the boys because I very much live the exact same way. And I strive to kind of live the same way these days, but I can't, right? Because I have responsibilities and places to be. But for the guys, and that's all I know is the guy side, their friends probably work. And that was often the case. So they're all waiting for those shifts to end for when their friends are free. And they were reluctant to go start something without the entire group involved. So they'd one by one, the door code would do beep, and they'd come in, and they'd all file in. Dogs go crazy. And once they're all here, which can be close to midnight or after, very often, then they would leave and begin their evening, and we wouldn't see them until the next day.
Right. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I am very laid back when it comes to my kids and what they're doing. We have them on Life 360, but I don't
Mhm.
track them all the time. However, when they are here, my husband is very cognizant of where they are, especially if they go downtown and he's worried about them. He offers to pick them up, give them rides. And so he takes the brunt of it whenever the kids are here as far as
Right.
staying up super late because I can fall asleep and just know they'll be there in the morning.
I do wake up periodically through the evening because I can't really sleep very well.
Mhm.
And I'll poke in and I'll see where they are. And I'll look at their movements and like, oh, they're at Matthew's house, or now they're at Eloy's house. And I understand their little habits and routines, which are very similar to high school. So it goes all the way back to that. But it is hard to wrangle them in, so to speak.
Right.
I don't know why it's not hard for me. I swear, my head hits the pillow and
I have this mentality that when he's at college, I don't know what he's doing. So
Right.
I feel safer that whatever he's doing, he's in the vicinity. I don't worry as much because whatever it is, I can get to him.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And as where I have to fall asleep every night knowing he's however, 7 hours away from
7
me and I
hours away.
don't know what he's doing, where he's at, or, yes, we have Life 360. I don't make it a habit to track him. If I haven't heard from him, I'll just make sure he's moving around. I did have a conversation with him because he is on this schedule, this college schedule, and I'm laid back about it. I try to be, every once in a while, I have to be up early, just be considerate of that. But he has a friend that stayed home with their parents and had the conversation with the parents separately about how could I let him just do whatever he wanted. And that conversation, but he doesn't live here. He hasn't lived here for a year. How does he come back home? And then I say, okay, you have to be, I just can't do it. My mind shifted to he's doing whatever he wants most of the time. How do you have him come into the house and now impose all these rules? Because I want this to be a safe place.
And I think also because our kids aren't jerks,
Yeah.
we have really good kids.
Yeah.
We talk to them. Yes.
It's very easy to, I don't want to say let them slide because you're not even letting them slide, but give them the freedom because you feel like they deserve it. They earned it. You know, they're making their grades. They're doing what they're supposed to. So give them a break when they get home.
And they're very responsible with it. And I am very proud of them for being responsible with that type of freedom. But it is worrisome, of course. Yeah. And that's why we care and track them. And it's just kind of a disruption into our new lives. But I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that they're good kids and that they're
100%.
Like I said, I can see from the outside looking in that people who aren't in our situation might think like, how do they let their kids do these things or just not care or whatever? But it's not caring. It's just that I understand that he's been independent this whole time. And like you said, he has great grades. He's doing what I ask him. We ask him to go run an errand. He does it, begrudgingly, but he does it.
Right.
And when he's home, he cleans up his room. If they make a mess, he cleans. So, I mean, how do you just turn around and enforce these rules from high school that they don't abide by anymore?
And this very much lines up with their new schedule. They go to bed late because they're up late studying. They do things very late because they're up late doing a lot of things. So it's hard. We would go to get something to eat like 2, 3 in the morning in Austin, just for no good reason. If somebody was studying, let's go get some food.
And that's really what's happening. I'm like, where are you going at, 2:00 in the morning? We're going to Whataburger,
We're gonna
here.
get some queso.
Well, we don't have Kirby Lane, but here at home, Whataburger, we're going to go get food or, it's this late night eating. And then they just come right back in and stay in the bedroom or watch movies or what have you. But it's disrupting to me, but they're really innocently, just hanging out and because
being kids
and with friends that they haven't seen. And I don't want to take that away. Like I said, I want them to come home and feel this is a safe place. I want them to want to come home. I feel like if you put these rules, they're like, I'll just stay where I'm at because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want my parents yelling at me all the time. And I don't want that environment, I think. At least that's
we
my
want
feeling.
them to keep coming home. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
With all their animals, you were just telling us.
Well, ours is a full-timer now.
Yes,
Lucas brought us a full-time.
Yes, we're a full-time,
lady.
grandparents. But, you're talking about all the kids are coming home for Thanksgiving with how many?
Hannah is bringing home one cat, but in her defense, it's the cat that we pawned off on her. So the cat is returning back to our house. Kate is coming with her 3 cats, and Luke is coming home with his 2 cats. And we have one dog that's indoors that does not like cats. So it's going to be a challenge.
It will.
But Keith said, we're going to look back on this and say, oh my gosh, remember that Thanksgiving whenever we had the 8 cats? And we're going to laugh about it.
It'll be a fun memory.
It just the week that they're home, it won't be funny.
It'll be like 2 weeks.
Oh,
yeah.
2 weeks.
But it'll be fun. I mean, it's going to be fun.
And do you try to incorporate still their childhood traditions that you used to do?
Definitely, yeah. And the girls, at least the girls like to participate in baking and traditions like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we do the same. Christmas comes around and they're like, Mom, you're going to make this, right? Or we're going to do this. These are little things I try to keep as normal as possible. I don't try to change stuff. So I think that's important too. So with your kids, how do you feel they've grown over, let's say, Hannah, that first year of college to now? Is there a difference in when she comes home or how she relates?
She comes home a lot less often. We go up to Austin to visit her more
she comes
more
home.
than she comes home just because we love Austin and it's a good excuse for us to get up there. I feel like also now whenever she comes home, she'll go out like one night with her friends, even if it's
Mhm.
just one night. And then the other nights, she's just home with us, like literally watching TV in the living room, not expecting anything, nothing special, just
Spend time with
spend
you.
time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that
I do anticipate that change from Lucas very much. Maybe not Skylar as much. Well, as their lives are getting more
yeah.
complicated, probably.
I feel like Skylar comes home and she just wants to hang out. She doesn't have any expectations that anything's going to happen or whatever. She's just here to spend time with us. And with us now, she has a fiance, so we get double the kids. And you haven't experienced that yet. Oh, I mean, I guess kind of. But there's an additional person, right? All the time. So,
Yeah.
which we love him, but
Yeah, I like her additional person. He's pretty cool.
yeah, we just kind of hang out and they don't really have like, what are we doing tonight? Where are we going? Just like, okay, whatever. And Lucas is still very much at that stage. Like, I have these plans. I have these things. We can't really expect him to sit there. He's not going to sit there to watch a movie. I've tried, but like, you want to watch a movie this night? She's like, Mom, what's happening? We had these plans to do these things. And
Right.
yes, I hope he will grow into.
And Laura, that goes back to what you said in the previous podcast, that we can't expect them to be different people when they return, because Lucas never really sat down and watched movies before with us anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
They're
that
just
shouldn't have changed.
connections I want to make, right?
Yeah.
That,
That's just not
thing.
part of his personality.
Well, I feel, and going off of that, I feel like Luke in high school, he did not have a social life. I guess maybe because sports took up so much time.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I think he went
Absolutely.
to a few parties, but now that he's gone off to college,
Mhm.
went through COVID, quarantine, all that, he's making up for lost time. So whenever he's here, he literally will have people over every night outside playing
Sure.
pickleball or swimming or whatever. But
Every night.
he's
Same thing.
his personality has definitely changed from when he left to coming back.
Right. And that group got kind of lost in the shuffle where they didn't get to make those connections when they were supposed to. So I can see that and how important it is to all of them.
And I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's has friends over and that they
Agreed.
have such a
Absolutely.
close group.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and Lucas he was always social, but we didn't have any change from high school to college when he came home. In that sense, he always went out with his friends, but it definitely was a rude awakening because he left and it got so quiet. Everything changed for us. Everything changed. The way the house feels, it's quiet, cooking, time-wise. You can go to bed at 10 o'clock and you're not worried about anybody coming through the door.
10, that's so late. What are you talking about?
And you're not worried about anybody. And then he's home and bam, right back. But now it's later because it used to be, okay, everybody has to be gone by midnight. Everybody has to be home. But now it's like they're just getting their day started. So it's like a rude awakening every time he comes home. But again, we want him to have those experiences so we don't say anything. And then he leaves and we're like, whew, we made it through.
Someone said that one time. You're so happy when they come down and then you're even happier when they
They
leave.
leave, yeah. And when he came for this summer, he was only going to come for a month and a half or so. I said, just so you know, this time when you come home, because he had come home for Christmas and it was about a month. So when you come home, things are going to be different. I'm not going to bend over backwards to cook dinner. If you're there when we eat dinner, then great. If you're not, I'm not going to rearrange my schedule. We have a routine. We're going to stick to it. You're just going to have to figure out. And he's like, well, let me be honest with you, Mom. I'm not really thrilled about going home. And I'm like, well, let me be honest with you. I'm not thrilled about you coming home either, because it's an adjustment, for both of us, because he's used to roaming around whatever he's doing without answering to anybody.
Absolute freedom.
Yeah, absolute freedom. And he does come home. And yes, that I do impose, like, where are you going and who's going and what time do you think you're going to just kind of
to prepare.
Yeah. Tiptoeing around, like, just kind of what's happening. But then, yes, like you, I can go to sleep. And Isaac's like, did you hear from him? Did you check on him? Like, no, I didn't. I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping. Don't bother me. Yeah, that's totally Isaac's role of worrying.
I do. I really do. I mean, I check on where they are in the morning when I wake up, and I check on where they are before I go to bed. And throughout the day, I really don't at all. So.
And I never check on the kids.
When they first leave, it's an adjustment, and then you get used to the adjustment and you like the adjustment.
We do. I tell everybody that
Yeah.
empty nesting is awesome.
Yeah.
I have some people, some colleagues at work that are very fearful because their kids the last kid is like a senior. And they talk about, I don't know what I'm going to do with my time. We spend all our time in athletics and we're busy every night and every weekend. And I said, I lived that life for so long and I loved every minute of it. But it's actually pretty cool when you don't have to be somewhere all the time. You can
Right.
choose where you want to be.
And I agree about the athletics. We always talked about what are we going to do when the kids graduate and we don't have soccer, basketball, football? And are we still going to go to the games and, to
Mhm.
feel connected? And
I always said yes.
yeah, yeah, us
And
too.
I haven't been to a football game
Yes.
since Lucas graduated.
Yeah. You evolve into a new,
A new normal.
yeah.
Right.
And then we have our friends that have students that play at the collegiate level, and that's really cool. And I would like to make myself available for those kind of outings, and I think you do too. And I think that's
Yeah.
amazing, and it feels nice to be able to, because we wouldn't be able to if we were still in the high school athletic world.
Right.
We wouldn't make those cool trips.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the change. What are we going to do with ourselves? And everybody said, you're going to miss this. You're going to miss this. And are you sure you don't want to do this anymore?
That hasn't happened
And
yet.
and it hasn't. And you told me that because you were a year ahead of me. You're going to be fine. You're not going to miss it. I was on the fence about how I was going to feel, but it really didn't.
You miss watching your kid play.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah. But you don't miss watching kids that you don't know play.
Yeah.
Right. But if I
Or
know
just
the
the
kid,
time, having
sure.
the
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
just a different
Right.
use of your time.
We will go if we know the student, and our student, like somebody we care about, like our friends' kids, are they're playing, absolutely,
Yeah.
because we've known them since they were little, and
Yeah.
absolutely, I do want to see them play. But when they're not playing, it's not very fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also even our kids, like we're going to go, I think last year went to a basketball game to watch our friend's son play.
And that was
like,
great.
why? But our kids are like, why are you going to the why are you going to a game? I'm like, guys,
For them,
we're being
not for you.
supportive.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not just because we want to sit there and reminisce. But
Right.
I don't know. I miss, yes, our kids being in it. And we have early on Saturday mornings are like, gosh, we would have been at a golf tournament right now, already up for hours at
We
this
would have been
time.
at the golf course for hours
At that point, yeah.
We'd
So,
be driving to Laredo for a soccer game
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Yes.
or those Saturday morning soccer games that they'd have on off season. And like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here at 8
the
a.m.?
unofficial random park games. Yes.
So if you had any advice for parents that have kids in their first year of college, just coming back for the holidays, what would it be?
I would say enjoy every minute of it, even if it's not how it was when they lived with you during high school. It's a transition and an evolving new relationship,
Mhm.
and you just got to go with the flow and accept it as it comes. And
Yeah, I would
Just
agree with
enjoy
that.
it.
I feel like you said, that's a good word for it, an evolving relationship, because I definitely have a different relationship with the kids now than I did when they were younger. When they were having Thanksgiving in high school, I never really involved them with like what I'm cooking and what I'm doing. But now Skylar's like, Mom, I think for Thanksgiving, I want to make this. I found this recipe, and like, okay, let's make this and let's try this. And I love that. Like, it's a whole different, because she has her life and she cooks and she tries things. And, so she's like, we should do this. We should
has
do
their
this.
own contributions
Yeah.
to this.
Yes.
So, and it's
Yeah.
great. And said Lucas, he cooks too. And I'm like, okay, well, you make the potatoes and I'll do this. And we all kind of interact in a different way for the holidays than we did. We still do the same stuff, but they're more involved, I think, as adults. And
Yes.
it's an evolving
I do
thing.
enjoy watching our kids and our friends' children evolve into the people that they're becoming, and they're becoming some pretty incredible people. I'm enjoying the whole ride. I think it's nice.
And
Yeah.
and no, it's different. Like when your kids turn 21 and they can have a beer, when
Right.
or drink,
Right.
and it's like a
scary and
weird experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, when Skylar comes home with her fiance, and he's like, Mr. Escamilla, you want to have a beer? And they have a beer together. But
Until
he's
it is
20,
it.
but
Yeah,
he's
everyone-
25, and
Right.
it's just you never think
yeah,
about.
he's kind of past the age.
He's way past the age, yes. But it's still your kid, and Skylar, well, I'll have this, or I want to have a margarita or a pina colada, and like, this is very weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love wine, and
Mhm.
my girls do too. So that's something that's nice to also.
It's a different evolving
yes,
relationship.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we never would have done that
Certainly
before they
not.
were of age.
Certainly
but
not.
now they're adults.
They're evolving. Everybody's
And you
becoming
can sit
something
and
special.
chat, and the same. I think you have the same experience. Girl, did you see this? Did you watch this movie, this show? Have you watched this? And they're very different conversations that we would have with a friend. We have the same conversations. Did you catch this? Or the same thing. It's not so much of like, how was school? How was,
Right.
Right.
we don't have
Parenting.
those
And how their
conversations.
experiences have shaped their opinions on things. They've had so many new experiences and met so many new people from all over the world.
Well, they
that-
know everything.
Right.
Of
You didn't know
course.
that?
I did
Yeah.
too back then. I must have forgotten, but I used to
Yeah.
know everything
But,
too.
and, that speaks to what we're talking about, the differences between when they first left to college and now. Your kids, my kids certainly have different perspective on life and
Confidence.
politics and
For sure.
things happening in society that you have conversations about.
Well, and they're so much more willing to voice their opinions,
Right.
or confident. They're more confident to
Absolutely.
voice their opinion, which is great. I mean,
That's what we want.
encourage
We
it.
need
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And we go back and forth and share videos. Did you see this? Did you see that? That's neat. Isaac and I have said this before, and we tell people who worry about the process of becoming empty nesters, like, we enjoy our kids so much more as adults than I think we
Yeah.
did when they were little.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
The being able to go to dinner and make reservations and have a drink and eat dinner, and they're excellent experiences, I think,
Yeah, and you still worry about them, but you're not worried about, I don't want to say keeping them alive, but when
Yeah.
they're little,
Yeah.
like it's all about like
No,
just getting to the next
No,
day.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
You don't worry that they're going to make poor choices really as much anymore. You're just worried about the external forces upon them, right?
Yeah.
Like alone, they're fine. They're going to make good choices. They're going to make the right decision. They're going to live their life. But it's those external forces that we cannot control that we feel nervous about. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
How about you, Isaac? Do you have any advice for parents?
I would say keep tracking them on Life 360. Keep an eye on them. No, I'm kidding. Just try to relax a little bit and allow them to become who they're going to become, and give them a little bit of freedom and enjoy who they're becoming, because it's a slow evolution, but it's special and it's really great. So just let them be themselves. You be yourself and let them be themselves.
And remember that they are experiencing the transition as well. It's not just you as the parent, it's
Mhm.
them as the child coming back into the house. They're experiencing new feelings and
Mhm.
Definitely.
situations as
And
well.
they're starting to look at us in a different light. The questions that Lucas asks me and Skylar asks me these days are very different than the things they used to ask me in high school. They're a little more existential on my opinions on things. They don't,
Deep.
yeah, not just facts about us. They can look up facts on their phone. They don't need to know that. So yeah, enjoy
Well,
it.
they already know it, right?
They already know. That's why they know everything.
Well, thank you for sharing. And I just feel that parents should know that there is going to be a difference. There will be a difference. Your kids are not going to come home and be exactly as they were when they left. You want to provide the comforts of home to them. But yes, like Isaac said, you want to be open-minded and willing to let them grow and be independent while still being comfortable in your home. I think that's important.
Getting better and better.
Yep, it will. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good.